This Bulls team is very intriguing. They have the makings to be a dangerous team. With now 3 all-star players, how much better are the Bulls going to be from last year? Before we dive more into the team, I would like to say the front office has been really impressive. AK and Mark have been doing a superb job, and JJ Polk deserves to be talked about as well, as he's been crucial as our salary cap specialist. Without them, none of this is possible, and I'm actually glad the Bulls are being aggressive for once. After 20 years, I'm tired of the Bulls being so passive. Plus, the league's a better place when the Bulls are competitive. Now, once this main core of the team was constructed, many people had opinions, and I've seen people believe they can be seeded anywhere from the 10th seed all the way to the 2nd seed. Now, I don't know about being a very high seed like 2, but I understand the highs and lows being talked about. The Eastern Conference is set though. The Nets will be back if they can stay healthy. Even without Kyrie, they'll be the 1 or 2 seed. The Bucks just won the whole thing. The Hawks got close and are healthier than last year, and a lot of other teams in the East got better as well. So it's going to be fun to see how this Bulls roster performs. Diving into the team, the Bulls improved offensively in the 2 areas they struggled the most with last year, which were an extremely high turnover rate and their inability to get to the free throw line. If it weren't for them being so bad in these 2 areas, the Bulls probably would have had one of the better offenses in the league. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. The Bulls were 8th in field goal percentage, 13th in 3-point percentage, 10th in 2-point percentage, 11th in free throw percentage, and 5th in assists, but ranked dead last in free throw attempts with only 17.5 a game and averaged 15.1 turnovers a game, which was 4th worst in the league. Turnovers hurt not just the offense, but the defense, as well as allowing opponents more possessions and points on fast break. The free throw attempts hurt since the Bulls were 11th in terms of percentage. For example, let's say the Bulls were 15th instead of 30th in the league in attempts and shot the same percentage, they would have scored 113.8 points a game, giving them the 11th highest scoring offense in the league. Instead, sitting at 110.7 points a game, they finished 21st. The addition of Lonzo, DeMar, and Alex should help the turnover rate and the ability to get to the line, as unfortunately, having bigger name players helps with that issue. So I expect the Bulls to have a much better offense this year, as they should land themselves in the top 10 in many categories. So we recognize that offensively, this team shouldn't have many issues. Even with the second unit players, this team will succeed, especially if Billy Donovan is able to find the right balance of when to play certain star players with the bench. However, where most people have issues is on the defensive end. So let's take a look at how this team did last year on defense, and how this upcoming roster stacks up. Last year, the Bulls ranked tied for 11th in defensive rating, but the Bulls were very bad in generating turnovers, being tied for the 3rd worst team in steals with 6.7 a game, and generating only 4.2 blocks, making them the 4th worst team in the league. Though, one of the biggest issues people concerned with the Bulls was the way they struggled guarding the paint. The Bulls were the 9th worst team in terms of opponents' points in the paint, allowing 48.9 points a game. Not as bad as people thought, but that number did improve only with the addition of Daniel Theis. With him gone, the Bulls do not have a shot blocker on the team. If Patrick Williams and Tony Bradley Jr. are your best interior defenders and shot blockers, you have an issue there. The Bulls need to find someone to help them contest shots and make life difficult for people in the paint. The Bulls are getting better with the guards they have. Lonzo is better than Satoransky and Caruso is better than Temple on both sides of the floor. But the Bulls' perimeter wasn't much of an issue last year. The Bulls were one of the best 3-point defensive teams in the league, holding teams to 35.6%, tied for 6th best in the league. Where the Bulls struggled was inside the arc. Teams were able to drive on them with ease and score tons on mid-ranges and close to the basket. So I understand the concerns people have of how the Bulls will defend the paint. And I do think it is an issue that will happen since Thaddeus Young and Theis were the main components of the interior defense. With them gone, the Bulls are asking quite a bit of Patrick Williams to make a jump. I'm not quite sure he is ready for it, but I do hope he succeeds. I will say, even though our big men aren't superior shot blockers, The team has been doing well so far in terms of help defense, so this may be a defense by committee rather than having one or two lockdown defenders. So, with some of the concerns out of the way, we know this team is going to be exciting. They'll be fun to watch. Of course, there'll be times where they surprise us and make highlight plays, but there will be moments they make us scratch our head and wonder why. Some of the frustrations may be more on the defensive end. There may be times rebounding could be an issue, but for the most part, our guys can rebound well. Fighting for loose balls shouldn't be an issue either, as we've seen from the preseason. With the defense, it really comes down to how well can these guys continue to help each other. As we saw in the preseason, that was the main way of playing. They don't really switch a whole lot. They are communicating better on the court, but when it comes to the playoffs, I'm curious as to how far this style of defense will carry them. But otherwise, they should perform very well in the regular season, competing with some of the best teams in the league.